Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. Today we're looking at a Yashica. This is part of the Electro 35 range, first launched in 1966. The world's first electronically controlled camera, interestingly enough. Yashica, although now it's just a brand that's slapped onto things, was in its day quite a major manufacturer of cameras. This particular range ran from 66 through to about 1980, and they made over 8 million during that time, so this was a very popular camera in the late 60s and during the 70s, even into the 80s. This is a second generation. There was a GT, which is the black version, and there was a GS, which is the chrome version. And in those days, particularly in the 70s, the black versions of cameras were dearer than the chrome versions. I know nowadays everything's near enough black, but in those days a black camera was a little bit more upmarket than the usual chrome version. So the GTs are the black and the GSs are the chrome versions. As I say, this is a second version. The original was the Electro 35. And this was launched in 1970 and was made through till 1973. Quite a big camera considering it's a rangefinder. I've shown you quite a few Paxes on this channel, and they're very, very small. You can see in my hand it is quite large, it's quite heavy, it's very solid. It's a metal camera made in Japan. It's got this sort of atomic type symbol because it was electronic. And if you look at the lens, it's a colour, so this was the sort of time when colour film was becoming more widely available and more affordable. So this sort of implies multi-coating really. But it's incredibly fast really. It's a 1.7 and it's 45mm, which is quite a nice focal length. Fixed lens, it's not interchangeable. So looking at the front, obviously we've got this really nice piece of glass on the front. As you can see, it's a leaf shuttered camera. The DX here doesn't mean DX coding. DX coding came in a lot later. The Yashica symbol, very nice, lovely finish to it. On the bottom we have battery compartment. This runs on a battery. Originally it was a mercury cell. Of course those are banned now, but I'll show you a workaround for that. Tripod mount right in the middle of the lens where it should be. And the film rewind. You push this in to rewind the film at the end of it. As the name implies, it's a 35mm camera and it's a rangefinder. Lug straps on the top. Let's turn it around. We have self-resetting frame counter, film advance. We have the shutter release, which is threaded for a cable release, and we also have a lock on the shutter, so when it's in the L position you can't depress the shutter. We have an ASA stroke ISO dial. We have an underexposure and an overexposure. I think the slow actually means that it's below a 30th, so there's a risk of camera shake. A cold shoe. And the only difference between the N versions is that the N versions, which came after this in 73, have a hot shoe. These early versions have only a cold shoe, which as you can see has been used, and as a PC connection, and pretty standard layout for a 35mm camera. The rewind crank for rewinding the film when you're finished. This is the back, very plain. I think this is a film reminder tab, so you can put that in there. We have a battery check function. And then to open the back, pull up, became pretty much the standard way of opening cameras. Here we can see the pressure plate, spring that holds the film canister in. Nice little conversion chart here showing you the ASA and the DIN. DIN is the German version, ASA is the American version. Multi-slotted take-up spool, sprocket drive, film gate here, and this is where your fresh film goes in, and the viewfinder is parallax corrected as well. So as to regards batteries, These are still very usable. There is a number of issues with them, the usual ones being the light seals, and there is a little damper inside which affects the metering. But the contacts on these inside are all gold plated, so they're quite robust cameras. Probably the worst thing you can do with these, if you come across them, is that they've had the batteries left in them. So that unscrews. This is where the battery would go, into that slot there. And you can get these, they're quite freely available on eBay. And then you can use a newer battery in it. And this is a 4SR44, which is basically 4 SR44s. And then all this does is just fill the space. It just allows the connection between the two ends of the battery. The original battery would have been this size, but obviously being mercury, you can't get those anymore. Make sure I put it in the right way round. That would be embarrassing if I put it in the wrong way round, because I can't remember which way it goes in. The plus is on the bottom. So yeah, I had it upside down. So yeah, it just goes in there. And you just tighten this up. You know me and camera batteries, it's quite heavily sprung loaded as well, this. This bit always goes wrong. It always goes wrong. Battery should last quite a while in one of these actually. There's no auto film winding on or anything like that, so it does need a battery though, it won't work without one. It'll default to a fixed shutter speed of a 500th of a second if the battery's flat. Okay, so you put the battery in, you push the test button, and as you can see it illuminates an LED behind the frame counter. It's really bright actually, you can probably use it as a torch. It's very, very bright. If it lights up like that, it shows that the battery is okay. Next thing you have to do when you want to use it is you have to set your film speed. You can see here there's a mark, and you just have to set this to what you're shooting. I think today we're putting a roll of 200 in there. So 200. And then to use the camera, on the top of the lens, you'll see it only has 3 choices. It has auto, it has B, and it has the flash sync speed, which I think is set to a 30th on these, but being a least shutter, it will flash sync at all speeds, to be honest. So there's no actual direct setting for shutter speed. You can, however, set the aperture, which is this second ring here, and it goes from f16 right away through to wide open. And you'll see there's a red arrow above going that way, and there's a kind of orange and yellowy arrow on the other side which tells you the direction to turn it in if you're outside of the range of the meter. Behind that we have the focusing, very nice and smooth, and we also have a depth of field scale there as well. So we can just set that up like that. When you press down, it's doing the metering. You can see that's saying slow. It's saying turn the aperture ring that way until the light goes out. If the red light's on, you turn it the other way. So very simple to use. It doesn't really tell you what the shutter speed is, but it does give you control of the aperture, so it's an aperture priority camera. This is a self timer. It's common with leaf shutters. You just wind that across, push down. There's the self timer going. There we go, you can hear how quiet it is. It is a very quiet camera. Very, very quiet, very discreet. And really that is about it. The metering is quite interesting in that it has a shutter over the sensor, and as you adjust the ASA or the ISO, this shutter opens and closes. So for a film that's more sensitive, I can turn this all the way around to the bottom. You'll see how that's changed. And if you set it to the other extreme, sausage fingers, you can see how open it is. That's how it adjusts for the sensitivity of the film. This is the rangefinder part here. So standard rangefinder align the two images. I say it is parallax corrected, so if you're focusing on something closer, the frame lines inside will move. Right, let's set that back to 200 again. No exposure compensation, so you're going to have to play with the ASA dial. Load over some film. I've got some more ColorPlus I'm trying to use up. Getting ready to do the C41 processing. It's winter time, so it's not a great time of the year for shooting film, to be honest. Not outside anyway. The days are very short and rather dull, even when it's a reasonable day. We don't get a lot of sunshine. So just pull that across. You can see, because it's black, you can see there's no quick load system, but I don't think it's particularly difficult to load, he says, as he messes it up. There's going to be a slot in this take-up spool, and the film should go in the slot, like so. Second set of sprockets is taken up. Close the back. As is usual, take up the slack. And then we should see that moving. One more. And there we go, it's loading the film. Rather simple, rather beautiful, aperture priority, so from a creative point of view I think it's just about perfect. Top shutter speed is a 500th of a second, and it works a bit like the OM2s in that it opens the shutter and it's still metering, and it closes the shutter when enough light has reached the film. Although it's not measuring it off the film, it's still measuring it through this CDS cell up here. But it means it has a long shutter speed setting of up to 30 seconds. So 30 seconds to a 500th of a second, which is sufficient, I would have thought. The 500th is a little bit slow, but leaf shutters tend to peak at a 500th. It's the focal plane shutters that give you the 2000, 4000, 8000th of a second, etc. Yeah, very nice, very quiet, quite discreet, but quite large and quite heavy. It is a substantial piece of engineering, all metal, I say made in Japan, quite widely available. Just make sure if you're going to buy one that you get a working one. Check that the battery check works, and that it's clean inside, and also check the light seals in the usual places around the back door. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. We've been doing a lot of SLRs recently, so I thought we'd have a rangefinder today just to be different. It's that lens is the thing with it, isn't it? It's a 45mm 1.7. That does give it some low light capabilities, as well as it being a good lens, nice and sharp. It'll be interesting to see what the results come out like. Thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Like, subscribe, bell for notifications, all the usual housekeeping stuff. Comments, queries, questions down below. If you've used one of these, give us a shout, let us know how you get on with them, and I hope to see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.